Watching Bahubali 2 in the theaters changed my life. The way I watched movies, the theater experience, what it meant, I understood that day. And now, after 10 years of Bahubali 1 releasing, they are re releasing the film as Bahubali the Epic, combining both films together, but with a runtime of just 3 hours 45 minutes. They trimmed out 1 hour 40 minutes of footage from both the films. And that actually made me really excited to know what they removed. How did they edit it together? What is left out? What is added? How it all works. And now, having seen it, actually watching the film, I realized what is the problem with today's pan-Indian films. Why are they failing? Even after 10 years, Bahubali is giving us lessons that we need to learn. So let's break it down. Hello guys, I'm Nona Prince, and if you don't know, I love Bahubali films. I've seen them like I cannot even count now, especially part 2, not that much part 1. And it had been some time since I saw them, so watching it on the big screen again was a delight. S.S. Rajamouli is a genius, and the film just is eternal. Forever it will work. That's how good it is. First, let's talk about how they edited the film together. It was a massive task, and I really geek about such things. Now, of course, the two films are much better than watching the epic. There's so much context you lose out, and watching both films have much better experience than watching one. But I would say they still make it work somehow. Now, the big chunk that is actually cut out from the film is that love story between Tamanna's and Prabhas's character, and the way they deal with it is very lazy. I didn't like it at all. So what they do is that the moment he reaches at the top of the waterfall, and afterwards when he goes in the jungle in the ice and all, we see first time Tamanna's character Avantika fighting the soldiers, and from there we just get a quick montage, not montage of minutes but actually seconds of what all happens from there to the point Avantika leaves for the mission. And with that montage there's this random voiceover out of nowhere explaining what all happened, and I just felt that was so bad. I didn't like it at all. Who is this voiceover? Where did they come from? It's not there at all in the whole film. I don't know what else could have been done there. And that actually shows that love story was not that important. But the way they deal with here, they could have found a better way. It's like the first film is the first half and the second film is the second half. And if you look at it, most of the stuff is cut out from the first film. Most of the songs are gone. Of course, the waterfall sequence is there. But then that item song that comes later, that is also removed. And you know how they show that? Someone has stolen the secrets of the empire and he has run away. And from there, we directly cut to Bahubali and Rana chasing him to the end of that cliff, and whatever happens after that is happening. So they cut out the whole thing of them going outside, to that bar place, the whole item song, and then running after, all that is removed, and it still makes sense. So that portion could have been cut out from the first film also. By the way, they also cut the whole introduction scene for Katappa, where we had Sudeep as Aslan, showing him that sword. That whole portion is cut off. And they've done one more interesting thing. When he places the shivling under the waterfall and the mask falls down, they have done this rewind effect, and we go to a moment where the kid is asking the mother what is up there, and she says they are monsters up there, don't go there. And from there we directly cut to Maheshmati, when we first see the whole kingdom with the music, and we get to the introduction scene of Anna's character. In the original we get it after he has reached on top and he visits the cave with all the rebels. Now a new scene in the film is when Mahindra Bahubali is actually coming to save Devsena. So there was this deleted scene where the guard who had seen Bahubali in the snow fight comes to Nasir's character and tells him she saw Bahubali and doesn't believe it, and he tells him how someone who is died can come back, and he repeats everything that they did to Bahubali, and that is intercut with Bahubali coming towards the kingdom with all those shots, and it's kind of that building up that hype that, oh, how can he come, he was this, he was that, and he's showing up on the way, which could have actually been in the original. I would have liked it. Now when the second half starts, it is the second film, and if you remember, we start with that whole that the Rajmata has to walk all the way to the temple and the demon thing. Now what they do is they directly start that they are already walking towards it and the elephant thing happens, all of that. And I felt in the original there was just a 2-minute scene where Katappa actually explains what is going on. You would have actually kept it the same way. You understand the moment better. And they couldn't have removed that scene because that scene is very much part of the climax of the film, where Devsena does the same thing. And that is a problem with Rajamouli, because everything in his films, there is a cyclic nature to it. He plants everything, he sets it up and then pays it off later. And that is one of the issue when you try to edit all of it together. When you remove some of these bits, some of these setups, it may not land really well. And from that, let's come to the problems today pan-Indian films have. Because watching Bahubali the Epic, you can see all those problems. They keep rushing. There is no movement to rest. They constantly want to jump to the next plot point. The only difference is Bahubali is so solid with its writing, with its movements, with its characters, that it still works, it's still enjoyable, which is not the case with the pan-Indian films we get nowadays. Take examples of Devara or Kanguva. I remember, when I was watching them, I felt, why are they rushing? There is no movement or scene to establish the character, the world he lives in. We're just rushing towards the next plot point, the next big thing, the next battle, the next action piece. They don't want to waste any time, just keeps jumping. There's no structure to it. That's what Bahubali has. Everything is structured. They set it up really well. We learn about the characters through their actions, and the film gives gives them time to do that. And that's the problem, right? After Bahubali films came out, everyone thought, oh, we'll just follow the formula. They did it this way, we'll also do this way. They did 2 films, we also take 2 films. Do you have a story to tell in 2 films? That's the first problem. Bahubali was supposed to be 1 film, but the moment they wrote all of these things, the setups, the character movements, the drama, it just became such a big film that they couldn't make it 1 film. They had to divide it into 2. But that is not the case with today's films. They are forcing it to be 2 parts. I know, rewatching Bahubali, I realized that the high moments, the epic moments are not just action scenes. Even the drama between characters are high moments. Some of the best scenes are actually that over the action scene. If you look at Bahubali, the interval scene is not an action scene at all. It is just a statue coming up. But the way it is executed, it gives you that feel. Same with the interval point in second film. It's the crowning of the king. Just that whole sequence is breathtaking, even when there's no action scene in it. And if you look at the recent films, every 5 minutes there'll be an action scene. Otherwise, the audience will lose interest. No, that's not the case. The writing, the drama should be that strong. And if you look at Bahubali, it is not a complex plot. There are a lot of inspirations from Mahabharata and Ramayana. The story is very much like Lion King. Where it's the emotions, it's the way the characters are written, they're designed, that makes it more enjoyable and fun. And I feel that the recent pan-Indian films which are coming, they just try to overcomplicate everything, which I think comes from the success of KGF films. I think only Prashant Neel could have pulled those off. But now everyone's trying to make the plot too complex, too many characters, too much explanation going on, and there's no fun of watching a film and experiencing it. They feel more like an exposition dump. See, comparing anything with Bahubali and Rajas Rajamouli is not fair. He has proved time and again he's a different gravy. But there are a lot of lessons that we can learn from his film. And I think Bahubali the Epic is a perfect example of why things go wrong in the pan-Indian film. Now, the makers with Bahubali the Epic did something which Hollywood is doing really well, which I've talked about in this video, how they are winning in today's time and what we can learn from them. Do let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think I make any sense? Let me know, and I will see you next time.